My husband demanded a DNA test to deny that the baby was his. He was having an affair and planning to take control of my father-in-law's company. What Adam didn't know was that his plan to destroy my life was about to reveal a deeper, more profound truth about love, loyalty, and the surprising strength I never knew I had. The aftermath and new beginnings. The day Adam was taken away in handcuffs, my world didn't just stop, it began to spin in a new, terrifying, and exhilarating direction. Sam and Tara stayed with me, their presence a silent anchor in the storm. We sat in Dr. Collins's office, the weight of the last 72 hours pressing down on us. Emma, my daughter, slept in her carrier, a tiny, peaceful island in a sea of chaos. "What now?" Tara asked, her voice a whisper. "Now," I said, my voice steady. "We get to work." The first step was a public statement. With Sam's help, we crafted a press release that was a masterpiece of corporate diplomacy and subtle vengeance. It announced Adam's immediate removal as CFO, cited his ongoing investigation, and, most importantly, declared my new role as interim CEO. It was a risky move, but with the board in disarray and no other clear successor, it was our best shot at stabilizing the company. A shaky start. The first few weeks were a blur of meetings, phone calls, and learning to navigate the treacherous waters of corporate governance. I quickly learned that my husband's sabotage had been far-reaching. He had not only been funneling money to his offshore accounts, but had also been secretly selling off key assets and signing unfavorable contracts with Grant Technologies. It was a mess, and every time I uncovered a new layer of his deception, the knot in my stomach tightened. Some members of the board were openly hostile. "This isn't a nursery." "McKenna," one of them sneered during a heated debate. "You should be at home with your child." I met his gaze without flinching. "No," I said, my voice low and firm. "I'm right where I belong. And if you have a problem with that, you can take it up with the SEC. My support came from unexpected places. Dr. Collins, now a key advisor on the board, provided invaluable insight into Richard's long-term vision. Tara, now our head of IT, worked tirelessly to rebuild our compromised network and secure our data. And Sam, with his journalistic connections, was a human shield against the media frenzy, carefully leaking information that showed me not as a victim, but as a strong, capable leader, the unseen legacy. One evening, as I was working late in Richard's old office, I came across a hidden compartment in his desk. Inside was a small, leather-bound journal and a miniature antique chess set. The journal wasn't a business ledger. It was a personal diary filled with Richard's thoughts on life, love, and legacy. Adam sees the world as a game of chess. A passage read, "Every person is a piece to be sacrificed for a perceived advantage, but a true leader knows the game is about protecting the king, not just taking the queen. The company is the king, and those who serve it are its loyal knights. My legacy isn't about the company's value. It's about the people who will carry it forward. That's why I chose you." "McKenna." Tears blurred my vision. Richard had seen through Adam's ambition and had recognized my inherent loyalty and strength. The chess set, I realized, was a metaphor. Adam had been so focused on capturing my queen, Emma, to win his corporate game, that he'd forgotten about the one piece that truly mattered. The company, the king. Confronting Evelyn, I knew I needed to talk to Evelyn Grant. She was just as much a victim of Adam's deception as I was. We met at a quiet coffee shop, a neutral ground far from the steel and glass of her father's empire. She was a different woman now, her flawless makeup replaced by a raw, fragile vulnerability. "I still can't believe it," she said, stirring her coffee. "He said he was getting a divorce, that you were just a friend. He told me the baby was someone else's. He told me the same about you." I replied gently, "that you were just a business associate." We spoke for hours, sharing stories about Adam's lies, his manipulative tactics, and his uncanny ability to make each of us feel like we were the one person who truly understood him. We discovered he had been using the same lines, the same gestures, and the same promises on both of us. It was a mirror, reflecting a man who had no true self, only a series of carefully constructed personas. "My father is trying to save face," Evelyn admitted. "He's offering to help me start my own foundation. Away from all this," I smiled sadly. "He's not the first man to think a woman's pain can be solved with money, but I think you're strong enough to build something better." The final move. The day of the board meeting was tense. The vote of no confidence against me was on the agenda, and Marcus Grant had flown in to ensure his interests were protected. I walked in, Emma strapped to my chest, a tangible reminder of everything I was fighting for. "I won't pretend this has been easy," I began, looking around the table at the familiar faces, some friendly, some hostile. "My husband's fraud has caused significant damage. but I have spent every waking moment since his arrest working to repair that damage. I presented a detailed report, outlining the corrective measures we had taken, the new contracts we had secured, and a strategic plan for the company's future. I showed them that not only had we uncovered Adam's lies, but we had already begun to turn the company around. And now, Marcus, I said, turning to face him directly, I'd like to address your role in this. He bristled. I have no idea what you're talking about. Of course you do, I said, a faint smile on my face. I'm talking about the money you've been pouring into your secret slush funds, the same ones you were using to manipulate Harrison Industries' stock. I gestured to Tara, who began to display the incriminating data on the large boardroom screen. It was all there. The wire transfers, the encrypted emails, the entire paper trail. My partnership with Evelyn had paid off. She had given me a password to her father's private server, a final act of rebellion against the man who had used her. Marcus Grant's face went white. The board members, stunned, looked from him to me. I had checkmated him. The vote of no confidence was now an issue of who was truly in control. I am the CEO, I declared, my voice echoing through the silent room, and I'm not going anywhere. The only vote we need to take today is to decide who will be stepping down. A new legacy? The next few months were a whirlwind of legal battles and corporate restructuring. Marcus Grant was forced to sell his shares back to the company at a loss. I solidified my position as CEO, and with the help of Sam and Tara, we rebuilt Harrison Industries into a new kind of company, one based on transparency, ethical practices, and a strong sense of community. But my greatest victory wasn't in the boardroom. It was in the small moments at home. It was in the way Emma would smile when she saw me, her little fingers wrapping around mine. It was in the late-night talks with Sam and Tara. Now my family, I had lost a husband, but I had gained a purpose, a sense of self, and a legacy that was my own. I think back to that moment in the delivery room when Adam demanded the DNA test. He thought he was playing a game to take control of a company. He was, in fact, playing the role of a pawn in a much bigger game, one orchestrated by fate, by a man who had planned for every contingency, and by the woman he underestimated. The game was over, and I had won, but not by taking everything from him. I won by walking away and building something beautiful from the ruins. And that, I realized, was a victory far sweeter than any revenge. The aftermath was not the clean, triumphant ending I had envisioned. Victory in the courtroom was just the beginning of a long, grueling war. The day after Adam's arrest, I stepped into the Harrison Industries boardroom, not as a grieving daughter-in-law or a betrayed wife, but as the new interim CEO. The air was thick with a mixture of resentment, curiosity, and thinly veiled disdain. Old guard board members, men who had served with my father-in-law for decades, eyed me with open skepticism. With all due respect, Mrs. Harrison, the head of the audit committee, a man named Mr. Thompson, began, "This is an unprecedented situation. We require stability, a seasoned leader, not a new mother." I held my gaze, refusing to let his words pierce the armor I had built. My father-in-law trusted me. His last will, his private documents, and the company's future all point to a single truth. He believed in a different kind of leadership, one that Adam Harrison was never capable of providing. The unseen enemy. Over the next 3 months, I worked around the clock, fueled by caffeine and an unshakable resolve. Tara and her team scoured the company's servers, painstakingly rebuilding the firewalls and rooting out Adam's digital backdoors. Sam, now my chief of communications, masterfully managed the media narrative, presenting a unified front of a company cleaning house and embracing a new era of transparency. But the resistance was relentless. My proposals for a new corporate foundation, focusing on ethical sourcing and family leave policies, were met with laughter and thinly veiled threats to my position. "This is not a charity." McKenna, another board member, sneered. "We are here to maximize shareholder value." The whispers of a new hostile takeover began to circulate. The name of the new firm was Blackwood Capital, a shadowy, aggressive company known for its ruthless buyouts. They were targeting Harrison Industries' stock, exploiting the lingering instability. It felt like a ghost was pulling the strings, a phantom of Adam's corporate greed that still haunted our halls. A different kind of betrayal. The first tangible blow came on a Tuesday morning. I was in a meeting with the legal team when an urgent news alert flashed on my phone. An anonymous source had leaked a trove of emails and documents related to my past creative accounting work with Adam. The headline was a gut punch. Harrison Harris aided husband's fraud. New documents show. The articles made me out to be a co-conspirator, not a victim. Panic set in. My lawyers advised me to issue a statement, a full apology, and to possibly step down temporarily. "It looks bad." "McKenna?" One of them said, "It seems like you were in on it all along." I felt the familiar sense of dread and betrayal. Adam had not just tried to destroy my life, he was still trying to do it, even from behind bars. I called Sam and Tara. They arrived at my office within the hour. Their faces grim. "I'm sorry," I said, the words tasting like ash. "This is a mess." I knew he wouldn't stop. Sam, ever the journalist, was already on the case. The anonymous source is a ghost account, but the IP address is bouncing around the dark web. It's a professional job. We're still tracing it. Tara, hunched over my laptop, was furiously typing. I'm looking at the document metadata. These files are pristine. It's like they were pulled directly from the company server, but our logs show no breaches. The answer came to me with a flash of insight, a chilling memory of Adam's arrogance. He didn't need to hack our servers. He had a backup, the same one he used to try and frame me for the break-in. Checkmate. I felt a surge of cold fury, a powerful, focused rage that was different from the pain I had felt before. This wasn't just about my reputation, it was about my daughter's future. Adam's final act of desperation was to prove that I was just as corrupt as he was. "Sam," I said, "find out everything you can about the lawyers and IT specialists Adam is still using. He's under home confinement, but he's not alone." Sam nodded. Already on his phone. "Tara," I continued, "find a way to prove that those documents were fabricated, not just doctored, but created with a specific intent to frame me. Find the timestamp, the metadata, the digital fingerprints, and find the link between Adam and Blackwood Capital." We worked through the night, a silent, determined team. The breakthrough came just before dawn. Tara discovered a single, tiny discrepancy in the metadata of the leaked files. They had been created on a shared cloud server that Adam had forgotten to wipe. The server showed a pattern of file transfers to a new, encrypted account, an account that belonged to the CEO of Blackwood Capital, a former associate of Adam's. Sam, using his journalistic skills, cross-referenced the information with a network of sources. He found a money trail, a series of anonymous wire transfers from a shell corporation in the Cayman Islands to Adam's legal team. He was paying them to orchestrate the leaks. He was violating his home confinement by operating his own revenge scheme. The new legacy? The next morning, I walked into the boardroom, a leather-bound portfolio under my arm. The hostile stares were gone, replaced by the shark-like grins of the Blackwood Capital team, who were now sitting with Mr. Thompson and his allies. "I believe we are here to discuss my resignation," I said, my voice calm. "We believe it's for the best." The CEO of Blackwood Capital, a man named Jonathan Vance, said, "The company requires new leadership." I smiled. "I agree. And I think we found the perfect candidate." I opened the portfolio and slid the documents across the gleaming conference table. "This is proof that the leaked documents were fabricated by Adam Harrison to intentionally implicate me and devalue the company. They were then shared with Jonathan Vance of Blackwood Capital, who used them as a pretext for a hostile takeover." The room erupted in whispers. I continued, "Mr. Harrison has also been violating the terms of his home confinement by using a network of associates to orchestrate these attacks. The SEC has been notified. They're on their way." Vance's face went pale. The board members, stunned, looked from him to me, a single question in their eyes. "How did you do it?" "I learned everything from Adam," I said, a faint smile on my face. "He taught me how to play the game of chess, but he made one fatal mistake. He thought the game was about taking your opponent's pieces. He never understood that the real victory is in protecting your king. Our legacy, this company, our people, that's our king. It's the one thing he could never touch. I had won, not with revenge, but with resilience, not with destruction, but with creation." I looked down at the tiny, framed picture of Emma on my desk, a little fighter just like her mother. I was no longer fighting for a company, I was building a legacy for her. Some victories are not about winning, they are about surviving. And I knew, standing in that boardroom, that I had done more than just survive. I had become the leader I was always meant to be. The legacy of Harrison Industries was in my hands now, and I was going to make it my own.